welcome. In this session, we'll see how we can represent this problem of a support vector as a constrained optimization problem. So let's begin with, let's recall from our previous sessions that a hyperplane can be specified as a normal vector that has unit length and a real number, which is the bias scalar. And what we said was that the definition of the margin was if x is a support vector and we take the inner product of that with the unit normal to the hyperplane and add the bias scalar, that is the margin. So we have a small conundrum, which is an unconstrained problem. So an unconstrained, if we were to represent, instead of a unit normal, if we represented the hyperplane using an unconstrained vector that could be zero, but zero is a particularly terrible case. So let's say that is not the zero vector. Then how could we constrain this whole problem? Well, let's consider, let's say that the norm of this unconstrained vector, so for a given hyperplane, there are an infinite number of such w's. They are scalar multiples, scalar non-zero multiples of the unit vector n. And since they're scalar non-zero, I could represent the length of any vector that corresponds to a unit normal. I could say that its length is, instead of r, I could use 1 over r. And that then gives us the bias scalar is going to be a over r. So now the hyperplane that is represented by in either of these notations, this has, let's be specific, this has label +1 support as, that would be specifically that the positive support vectors times the transpose times the normal plus the bias scalar has to equal r. And now if I substitute this in, what I get is this, is that now what I would get is, suppose that I divide both sides by r, right? So that is 1 over r times x transpose of support normal plus a equals 1 over r times r. And then that is equivalent to saying, I can bring this all the way in, that's equivalent to saying that x transpose support times the normal vector over r plus a over r equals, and r over r is 1, and a over r is our bias scalar b, and the normal times the length of w is w. That's how we defined it. So that is equivalent to saying that if I take a support vector and the inner product of that with an unconstrained non-zero normal that specifies a hyperplane plus an unconstrained bias scalar, that has to equal 1. And that would be my reasoning for plus 1. So what happens for our hyperplane with support with label -1 support? Well, that has to be that since we allow R to be signed, that would mean that the negative of the support vector inner product with our unconstrained normal vector to the hyperplane minus the bias scalar has to equal -1. And I can now combine these, that we know that the label for every support vector, it's actually for every vector, right? The label for every support vector is either plus or -1. So we can combine these, and we can say that the support label times the inner product of the support vector and the weight vector that represents the hyperplane plus the bias scalar for the hyperplane has to equal 1. And now we recall that we said that the margin was for the distance, the signed distance from a support vector to the hyperplane. Non-support vectors, so we can say non-support support, these have a margin that is strictly greater than the margin for a support vector. So we can combine these. I'm going to have to switch here. We can combine these into the label for the jth data vector times the inner product of the jth data vector and the unconstrained normal vector for the hyperplane plus the hyperplane bias has to be greater than or equal to 1. And what we can observe is that in most cases this is a strict inequality, and the inequality happens only at the support vectors. And now we can start to recall that that would imply that a support vector is a boundary for these linear inequality constraints, and a non-support is an interior point. So let's erase this and figure out what it is that we're actually going to compute. Our constraint is that the label of the jth data times the inner product of the jth data vector and the unconstrained hyperplane normal plus the hyperplane bias has to be at least as large as the margin, which is the distance from the hyperplane to a support vector. That means that these statements are equivalent. We could maximize this distance. That is, we could maximize the margin. Well, if I'm maximizing the margin, that would be the same as minimizing 1 over the margin. And that, because we defined the inverse of the margin as the length of the unconstrained normal vector, that is the same as trying to minimize the norm of the unconstrained normal. And that is the same as trying to minimize the square of the norm. Now, if this was sums, that wouldn't be true, but if it's just a single number, that's true. And then that is the same as trying to minimize the transpose of the weight vector and the weight vector. So we can now state an optimization as this. We can say that this is the objective function is anticipating differentiation. We can say that our objective is to minimize a quadratic form of the weight vector, and the weight vector in this case is the unconstrained normal to the hyperplane. An SVM has this. So the SVM optimal hyperplane is the argmin over all possible hyperplane normals of 1/2 of the quadratic product. And we have a constraint which is such that, and we can say for every j that is a positive natural number that is a legitimate index into our data, that yj times x transpose j times the optimal vector plus the optimal bias scalar has to be greater than or equal to 1. So this is the primal formulation of a support vector machine. So this is the primal support vector machine. And although it's easy to state the support vector machine in the primal form, the computation is usually performed using the dual formulation.